You're such an asshole!
Hey guys, this is Chad Elkins coming at you one more time because I received a request for Mr. Clary to field a question from an aspiring tax accountant. So that is what I'm going to do today. Just real quick, you can find me at elkinscpa.com, and I also have a tax guide out called the Elkins Comprehensive Tax Guide. You can find that on Amazon. So let's get to this guy's question. Hello, Mr. Clary. I'm in the middle of rereading your book Bachelor Pad Economics, where you are talking about education. Currently, I'm in my last semester of community college to fulfill my transfer requirements for accounting so I can attend a 4-year university. I need another person's perspective if my thinking is correct or if it needs to have tweaking. It goes as follows. I am currently an intern now at, we'll just say, a production company in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, as a tax accounting intern, and I get paid $24 an hour. I've determined that it is in my career interest to do public accounting at Big Four initially to start out when I graduate. That's not a bad idea. I have a mentor who tells me that I should aim for the most prestigious schools in California rather than the local state schools in the Los Angeles area if I want a shot at Big Four. However, I have vehemently disagreed with him because through my own research, I see that all accounting firms recruit at every single school in the Southern California area, regardless of the perceived prestige. The reason I'd rather go to a state school is that I can pay for it just by interning and I wouldn't require any student loans. However, if I were to go to the schools you would prefer, then I calculated that I would have between $15,000 and $20,000 in debt. Yeah, you want to try to avoid that. I even asked my accounting professor who previously worked at PwC, and she concurred with my mentor's thinking, but she said the one factor is that I already have a great accounting experience, and since I already have the name recognition doing accounting work with that production studio, which does have a good name, which all these corporate asswipes slobber over, I feel with that factor it's not as important if I go to the higher ranked schools as long as I go to one where they are recruited at. What's your angle on this? And he says, I already know, I'm well aware how much of a dick you have to suck at those Big Four firms, which is true. Alright, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, and I've already spoken about how one thing you have to do is basically, you want to get your CPA. That's the long-term goal, but you want to do it without getting into debt, doing it as cheaply as you can, as quickly as you can. And this includes your choice of where to go to undergrad, too. So my thoughts are that you do actually have a pretty good experience there on your resume. Like that, I can't say the name of the company, but that carries a lot of weight, and that's going to get you noticed by recruiters and other companies alike. So I hate to disagree with your mentors there. I don't know who they are. I'm sure they know what they're talking about, but I don't think it's worth you going into debt just to go to a more prestigious school when you're going to get the same type of recruitment anyway. Now maybe the Big Four recruits a little bit more at some of these more prestigious schools. Maybe they have a few more slots for them, but I don't think it's worth you going into debt for, because there's no guarantees in life, and I think you've set yourself up pretty well to get recruited by them anyway. So one thing, I'll just tell you a quick story. So I got my MBA at a top 25 school. It's not the greatest school in the world, but it's decent. And I had the opportunity to go to a more prestigious school. I'd gotten into it, but the problem is this more prestigious school was going to cost me something like $20,000 to $25,000 more per year in tuition. MBA tuition is super expensive. And it didn't have a much better network, and maybe it would have had better. I also was trying to get into Big Four accounting straight out of my MBA just for a short time before I went off on my own and started my own tax practice. But I kind of went through the same thing that you went through, and I was like, well, do I give up on these prestigious schools? It's a name that carries with you for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter, because let's say you go to a state school instead of the more higher ranked schools. the state schools have just as big of a network as these other higher ranked schools, and like you were saying, you're still going to get recruited at the state school. So I strongly feel you shouldn't go into debt. It's not really going to improve your odds that much, and all it's going to do is put you behind the 8 ball from a financial standpoint. I think you can get into Big Four without having to go to one of those more expensive schools. And just following up something real quick, your professor has a very good point there. Experience is really king when it comes to a lot of your ability to get into the Big Four. Like the reason I was able to get in right out of my MBA program, at least for a spell, was because I had experience working for the DOJ tax, for the IRS. It wasn't because I had great grades or went to an amazing program. It's just, if they see that you're on a trajectory where you want to be doing tax as a career, that's really all they're looking for. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer. Like, I want to break it down a little bit more and go through pros and cons, but I just don't see any point in you getting into debt for what's going to end up being the same outcome regardless. And I know your mentor, their heart's in the right place, they want to set you up. It's a bit more of an old school thing to say that where you go to school matters, but really what you have to think about is debt you want to stay out of, and you want to have a network as well. And I'm thinking whatever state school you're going to go to, I know the UC systems and the state systems of California have a ton of alumni, so regardless of what happens, you're going to be fine if you go to one of those schools, and you'll stay out of debt. So let's see, there's really not much else in here. Just keep working hard at that internship, and if you have any more questions about working in tax or maybe what you want to do as far as setting up your own practice, just give Clary another request and we can talk about it. So that's all I really have to say about this one. Toodles.